Testing. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is just going to be happening for a little bit as I'm just trying to make sure my mic settings are working. Sorry about that. How has anyone been doing? This is going to be the start of the YouTube video as well, but I'm just trying to make it work. Okay, the stream is looking like it's working well, so I'm gonna go with it is, and just kind of get out of here. Oh. There we go. Alright. So yeah, I'm just kind of chilling here, having access to all this. Eventually gonna want to work my way up to upgrading the secondary altar and the restored altar to get them all done with, but then the other aspect is unlocking a bunch of the champion weapons that I've just recently unlocked. Blessings are something I'm gonna unlock eventually, but yeah. I'm going to try to use, instead of Will of Sechal, I'm going to try and make use of the 5 champion drops instead, and see how that works out. I feel like you can avoid the issues that come with Will of Sechal by just... by just instead taking a lot less cursed options. And I mean, more curses would help with this, so I'll take on to that for now. Nothing all that great there, nothing all that great there. Obviously shields are one of the things I enjoy, and all of them offer shields. This would be my favorite shield. It just doesn't have as much fun factor as running a cursed weapon. And yeah, so working my way at the temple means literally that. I'm just going to be trying to work up on Serpent very hard and Jaguar very hard. I don't start with the extra 1,000 gold these times, so I would basically be only taking curse if I went up either of these routes. I do want to get something along this route, but I'm just debating whether or not it's worthwhile to just take the gold and then go for weapons and then up to that upgrade. And I think that is what I'm going to have to do. I can always swap out this shield that I currently have, but, you know, it wouldn't be preferable to keep this run with just a okay shield. I would want to get a better shield if at all possible. Sorry about that. I had one of my fans on too high, so it was making some extra background noise. So yeah, basically just gonna treat this as what it literally is, which is a gold room, because I need more gold. I could go up, but I believe this leads to, yeah, a path that just kind of is a shortcut through the rest of this room, and I want more in the room so that I can get more to drop. I'm going to blow this barrel up and hopefully get that lurker. I do indeed manage that. I'm gonna go after the dead wife here, just to try and deal with her, and I do manage to get it. Didn't get that third hit off on the lurker, but it should be alright. I do manage to wrap up the kill. The one thing I'm noticing with this is it is not capable of one-comboing the lurkers, which is going to be a very unfortunate thing for however long that lasts. I assume it's because I'm not missing any health segments yet and I don't have any curses that it's not, but it's going to be very unfortunate if that continues on. One of the things that is there to consider is I am running the Grace of the Tempest, so the better I do in these early rooms, the better start I'll be able to have, because it'll just give me an increase in dex over time. Or an increase in dex every time I do a room well, is I guess how I should phrase that. 15% damage to fire attacks could be useful, could not be, so I'll take it just in case. And I will spend the time to get the gold pots, because that just helps. Now comes the choice of, do I just go to the gold path or the weapon path? I honestly really want a different weapon, but I think I could survive by just running otherwise, as in getting the gold, having a chance at something, and then just moving through here. But I do think I want to see some weapons and at least have the opportunity to make use of the curse meter that I have, because I do want to have a large number of curses, if at least to just try and make use of this weapon more, or more effectively, I should say. That was a very bad attempt at a parry, and I'm not going to do that on these early floors anymore, just because of the fact that I have Grace of the Tempest, and I'm going to want to get the extra dex whenever possible. And the earlier floors are going to be pretty easy to get that, as long as I just play competently. As you're seeing here, I do need to do at least the shield bash against enemies, even basic lurkers, to get them into range to one combo them, which is not a good thing for this run, but as I said before, hopefully my scaling capabilities will let me make it through it. There's a Deadeye. I'm going to temporarily ignore it and get rid of the dead wife that I could, and then I'll move on to this set. I forgot the Deadeyes do not trigger that, so I just kind of put it in an advantageous position. For some reason, the Deadeyes will approach you from a distance even though they could be shooting you. But I mean, I'll take it. So yeah, these rooms are going to take a bit longer than I'd personally want on the earlier part of this run, but I can make use. Oh boy, that is insane. Like, I really don't want to pivot, per se, off of this scepter, but like, holy heck, 1% health, 1% curse, 20% lightning, also synergizes with my lightning. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna present me with basically the best possible start, I'm gonna take. Like, giving up a cursed weapon feels bad, but this set of claws is insane because of how well it scales with dexterity. Or sorry, not dexterity, or technically does scale with dexterity, yes, but it also scales very well with your constitution stat. We will be getting our first curse here. Divine Pact. I believe this is one last relic slot and 3 additional divine favors. So yeah, this one is actually a permanent benefit, even regardless of if I remove it, because of the fact that those 3 divine favors will stay. As you're seeing here, I'm in a much more comfortable position than actually able to kill lurkers with a lot greater ease than I did before. I can't quite one combo the, what's it called, dead wives, but I am able to get them low enough that I'll just effectively clean them up with one hit. The one thing to consider about the Headless Guardians is that they do actually stun their little allies, as you saw there. That was a mistake. I thought I had enough time to charge the shield, I should have just gone for a dodge. So I lose out on 2% free damage. It's not going to be the most insanely impactful thing, but it is unfortunate to just lose out on an easy benefit from a bad hit. But that's kind of what comes with the territory. You have to play well to get the benefit of Grace of the Tempest, and if you don't play well, you won't get it. I am not going to use my reroll, my divine favors on these, just because of the fact that I have such an insane main weapon, and I want to be able to afford attributes as much as possible, and then the upgrade when it comes up. The upgrade is going to be a big thing because it won't give me an additional affix, which the affixes are just these, but it will increase my base damage, which the higher my base damage, the better it scales. I don't remember if there's a problem if I go into that side room, so I'm not going to just yet. So I'm going to go over here and kill off these enemies first. Gonna try and stun the 2 and make sure I get the finishing blows with the claws, just because I heal health only 1%, but then on top of that I'm also removing 1 corruption, which will now help me stabilize my corruption. I have to be a lot more worried about corruption now that I am not running, what is it called, Charles' Blessing, because it basically means that I just have slightly less wiggle room to make use of. I basically have 100 less curse until the 5th curse. That trap there is pretty easy, and I could have gone there earlier, but I didn't end up doing that before. But yeah, that that trap is just, you bait it, and then you should wait till the fire goes away. Sometimes I get lazy and rush through it, but it's one of those things that you can just do either way. I was kind of hoping an enemy would just walk into that. It's a useful thing you can do, is just try and bait out the Jaguar statues to kill enemies, basically. Even when it doesn't work, as long as you don't put yourself in that bad of a situation, it doesn't hurt to try. I am going to get Constitution and Dex here, so I'm fully willing to offer gold and gold for that. Just gold, sorry. And yeah, I can move forward to another gold room, and we'll be heading up to the upgrade room. Depending on how much this costs, I'll probably have to spend curse for it, but I'm hoping I won't, because the curse value shouldn't change throughout the run, but the gold value will increase every time. I do have some leeway with curse, just solely the fact that I have this claw here that deals so effectively with corruption, being my main weapon, and it gives corruption and health restoration on it. What you saw me do there was not a good decision, which is I rolled early, and rolling early could have put me in a really just awful predicament in which I would get hit by the Deadeye, because their shot is just slightly more delayed than you would think at times. I'm gonna go to the side room. It's just extra gold. I'm always wary of any side room that has this little marking, because sometimes it may just be, for example, a room that I hadn't seen before, which I've seen a lot of rooms, but there may just be some random chance I haven't, and if it closes behind me and I miss out on extra drops, that's just a net loss. With the current damage on these claws, thanks to both my Constitution and my Dexterity stat, I am doing enough damage to one-hit combo the Deadwives, which is putting this in a very good position. I'm just going to turn that into gold. I'm not going to swap out for it, and it just gives me additional gold to have. Thanks to my relic, which turns any excess healing into gold, which is going to get a very big benefit for this run because I have an amount of healing that I just do constantly. So as long as I play well, I'll get both the additional dexterity as well as the additional gold. I'm actually going to wait out this fire just because I'm not all too sure whether or not the fire will count for me taking damage, and I want to just preserve that extra 2% damage as long as possible. Or the extra 2% damage per effective room I clear. Looking at the amount of gold that I have, by the end of this room I should without a doubt have enough gold to purchase the first upgrade on these claws, which makes me very happy. As you see there, when these claws' third Apex is a 20% chance for a lightning effect, and when it does proc, it does a very solid amount of damage for basically no extra effort of my own. Sometimes it's worthwhile to go for a large burst of extra damage on enemies, and sometimes it's just nice to let them do their attack animations and do your own thing, which is what I did. Some of the braziers will actually block shots, as you saw there. Some of them won't, so it's not good to rely on it, but if you just manage to recognize them effectively, you should be good. And as you see here, I am able to buy an upgrade. It's only at 2 extra damage, but over the course of the run, as I get more and more dex, as well as more and more constitution, that 2 damage each time, I believe 15%. I'm not good at quick calculations. I am so sorry about that. That must have been extremely loud. There's no reason for that to have happened. I'm so sorry. But as I was saying, every time I get those minute upgrades, my scaling increases by all that much, and it allows for me to have this massive, massive effect. Before this room, I'm going to double check my sound settings. I'll show off the build while it's waiting for that. It seems to still be effectively running, so this should be the first boss, yep. This one's fairly straightforward. I basically just wait for him to spawn the cats, wait for the cats to attack, and then I massacre them. And then I go after him. And overall, just getting that attack pattern down makes this boss fight extremely easy. You see here, you can prep an attack and really quickly burst down the Jaguars he spawns. And his main attack pattern is also fairly predictable, so it's pretty easy to deal with. Ultimately, it'll come down to how effectively you can mitigate taking just unfortunate damage. As you see there, when he's doing that animation, you have the opportunity to get in some extra attacks, if you're willing to risk him starting his attack animation while you're killing the Jaguar. Which sometimes is fine, sometimes it's not. Took a very long time for a second animation there, and he will actually just start another spawn phase instead, which is fine by me. For some reason he's not attacking, so I'll just burst him down. And there we go, a flawless kill on the first boss of the Jaguar Temple. The Huntsman, I believe? Actually check the specific name really quick, because it's just down here. It is the Blood Hunter. There you go. As you see, since I've brought back the option that drops me a large amount of extra items off the boss, gives me an additional 3, so it goes from 2 to 5. I now have a much wider range of options, and so I get this amazing shield, for example, which I'm fine with losing the lightning synergy for, just because the 25% auto parry is insanely helpful. This will be a nice upgrade because it gives me more lightning synergy, but the 8% max or 8% HP will just heal me a decent bit. Not going to give up my main weapon. It'll heal me 100, or it'll give me 100 gold, I should say. This is something I was looking for. This basically just gives me both dex and adds more to my healing. Because thanks to Reptilian Hunger, I'm going to maintain my greed count for a very, very long time. This would have been a nice thing to have, especially seeing as I electrocute occasionally. But the other two benefits aren't all that great, and I get Constitution for free if I just give it up. It's very tempting to just ignore this for the free 100 gold. Actually more than 100 gold now, but I think it is important to have just a backup way of dealing like, well, no, I'm not going to be attacking with my secondary, or my two-handed weapon all that much, so it's not even worthwhile. I'm going to be wanting to get stats here and upgrades. I can get an upgrade in stats on this path, but no relic. This path can give me either whatever's in this room, and then possibility of stats, or I can go for the weapon upgrade, and I do definitely want a weapon upgrade this floor. Have some stats available here, and whatever this room ends up, it could be good. So I think I'm just going to settle with the unknown. I don't need new weapons right now, seeing as both weapons I really like at this point. But yeah, as you see there, I got an additional dex thanks to flawlessing the boss. I'm up to a whopping 18 dex, plus 7 from these two effects, and then plus the additional from the previous flawlesses and stat upgrades. Getting into this second portion of the map, we're now going to be dealing with a number of elites here, which is fine to deal with, especially with my current build. I have quite a lot of damage output, though as you see here, it could be better. Whenever I get a kill, I'll be healing a okay portion amount of health, which is going to feed me more and more gold throughout the course of the run, which, I mean, extra gold is just extra chances at having a good run. The more you can spend, the less you have to sacrifice blood for, and so the fewer curses you have, and the better chance you have at winning. But yeah, I was torn about streaming tonight because of the fact that it was late after taking a bunch of classes, but I ended up deciding to do it anyways because there's a chance I won't be able to stream on some of the following nights because of the Series X drop, as well as a couple DLCs dropping, and just new games in general dropping. I am going to set these off and then back up, just so I don't have to deal with them. But yeah, I do want to apologize for not being able to stream on the most recent Friday, but that was due to wanting to spend time with my friends. There was likely something at the end of this hallway that I could have gotten benefit from if I had waited, or maybe it was just damaging enemies that I got instead, which is fine by me. As you see there, I got an auto parry, which I believe helped me avoid taking damage on this floor. Yeah. Not using a bow, so I'll take the extra gold. Can't actually see if there's anything like a cracked wall there, so I'll just detonate that just in case and move on. But yeah, my friends were able to find a time for all 6 of us to get together and do something, so I wanted to make sure I was able to involve myself with my friends when I could. Seeing as they're all in colleges and all that, and I don't get ample opportunity to spend time with them anymore. The lockdown especially making it hard to do anything, but that's how life is sometimes. You just gotta roll with the punches and do what you can. And that's what I did. I should be able to make that up to just everyone in general by doing some extra streams in this following week, but once again, this current week is going to be a bit rougher with that, seeing as all the new drops are coming out during this time. I'm going to have to just ignore the stats in favor of this weapon upgrade. I will have another chance at another type of room there with the question mark, but it'll all depend on luck basically, as to what I actually get in that. As you can see here, the amount I heal whenever I get a kill, it's only 14, but that 14 is a whole lot. I actually don't know why I'm not getting more than 14. Because I should be getting a kill, healed for every greed kill as well as 1% for each enemy killed. So I'm not all too sure what that's about. I may just be missing something. And there may be, for example, a second pop-up happening behind the enemy, but from how it looks, it doesn't seem to be doing all that much. 3563 to 3587. That could be the double, I'm not all too sure, but I believe that's just the single 14. Wait, I can't do math. No, that's 24. Maybe I just can't read and it has been healing 24 each time I get a kill. We actually only are just now seeing our first elite, which is kind of surprising. Going to try and burn down the Blood Priest as much as possible. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of doing that and took a hit for it, which cost me 2% damage over the course of the run, which is just a bad mistake. I got greedy in trying to finish the Blood Priest, not wanting it to heal the champion, and if I had taken my time here, I could have gotten away without taking any damage. As you see there, that was the last group of enemies. I am going to get a claw upgrade here. I have a number of choices I could make. This is going to be one of the most expensive possible things, and relics on this floor aren't all that expensive yet, so it may be worthwhile to just do that. Offer blood for this, I should say. I'm gonna have to do that a lot later, so I think I'm just gonna offer gold for now. Unfortunately, it'll basically bankrupt me and give me very little chance of doing much, but I can build that gold up by just doing it well. Playing effectively and not getting hit, basically. Got an auto parry off there. I believe if I hadn't gotten that auto parry, I would have gotten hit just because I tried to charge into his attack while he was doing it, which for those enemies I believe just kills you. Or, not kills you, sorry, gives you a hit. But yeah, I managed to heal up that HP really quick by giving up that drop, and yeah, I can move forward. This is one of those rooms where if you're managing to be quick enough, you get a little bit of extra rewards by just doing that. not something useful, but it turns into gold, so I'm happy. Gonna wait for the fire to set out, or be put out there over time, and then I'll move forward. That's one of those things that I keep accidentally doing, is just rolling into a wall. It's a bit unfortunate. Actually don't really know how I didn't kill that enemy there, which caused me to take 2 hits in a row because I committed stamina thinking I'd get one back. Very, very unfortunate. I basically took a bunch of curse, took a bunch of damage that I didn't want, and it sets up a bit of a bad precedent there, and it is showing that it probably would have been a good idea to take the stats there. Back here in specific. The weapon upgrade is going to be, I think, overall more helpful, but we'll have to see how it ends up. Well, these are really enticing, so I'm going to check over them. 5% of crits heal. If I'm going to be building into healing, I think that's what I'm going to want. It gives me more sustain than the greed kill heals. Unfortunately, it gives perception. Because I'm limited on what I'm going to have uses for these, I'm going to keep rolling. Tempting. This will be my last one. Yeah, one more, and this is it. 10% of gold offerings. These are terrible, so I'm just going to have to move on. This could be a good idea to just take, but it costs so much gold, I don't think it's worthwhile. Yeah, I should have settled with the healing, but I took the calculated risk of possibly getting something better, and I did not get something better. But you live and you learn with these kind of mistakes. Yeah. Mortal Harvesters, I believe, yeah, earns with blood rather than gold. So it'll give me a few more options for healing, which should be nice. In retrospect, I really should have taken the 5% healing on crit, seeing as every time I do the main attack I heal, and I've shown in previous runs how powerful that effect is. He pivoted more times than I would have liked there, but yeah. But having that healing gives, or healing on crits gives some sustains to builds like mine, where you're able to get through the normal levels fine because you're actively killing enemies, but once you get to the actual boss, you stand no chance, or much less of a chance. Because your actual build doesn't really do much for you since you're not currently healing. I am going to take the extra corruption here just because I can work it off pretty easily, and I want to get back to generating gold from my kills. Or generating additional gold, I should say. Looking back at it, that extra gold that I got when I was trying to figure out how much I was healing was from just the base enemy's gold drop. Interesting. So this may just be glitched and not doing something in tandem with this, or I may just be mistaken. Because I should be healing 28 every kill for the 2% HP, rather than 14. I got greedy there again. It's kind of proving this point of if you're greedy, you get punished for it in this game. And I went for additional damage, and I did not get it. When I tried to attack the enemy there, it just decided to kind of pivot in a different direction and go after the blood. Priest, which could have been bad, but thankfully it was not. No more drops on the ground. Yeah. Altogether, these last couple of rooms and have shown me that I do need to find something to improve my build at this point. Honestly, this +3 in each is very, very tempting. I also just realized we got another relic room right after this, because their question mark had turned into a relic, but yeah. I will be able to generate a whole lot of gold in one of the coming rooms, thanks to the fact that the self-healing rooms will overheal me by a whole lot, and just allow me to do more with my time. That room, you just kind of have to make sure you dodge everything, so you just dodge out of any of their direct pathways and you're good. Gonna give that up for the HP, really in need of help at this point. To try and get back to my healing status, but yeah. Unfortunately, I got a kill there with my shield, but as you saw there, it heals the same amount as it would if I had gotten it with my claws, which is odd. I'm gonna take the minus corruption there just because there's no point in replacing my main weapon at this point. Nothing all that great here. The 9 perception could be nice. I'm gonna try one roll and then I'll have to pass. Level +1 on main weapon is a lot. It adds about 2 damage, 3 damage I believe, versus 9 constitution adding 8, 27% damage, which is a similar amount. I think I am, oh, this also gives constitution, so yeah, this solidifies that I want this option rather than the other. It's one of those things that I will just sacrifice blood for. As you see, I gain 70 corruption, which is the same cost as just doing an actual upgrade on this. That should be a very big help to my damage, just because both constitution and a main weapon upgrade for this weapon in specific will allow me to do that. Ah yes, hello there Lau, it is indeed the big claw. This run has not been going great for me, Lau, but I mean, I have this claw and it just kind of wins. With this claw, as long as you at least kind of do okay, you're going to make progress. I am going to get another curse because I have to go through that door, so I'm just going to give myself gold for a bit of curse. On top of the fact that I am going to be removing this curse. But yeah, adapting the Grace of the Tempest rather than the Curse of Sachal, or the Blessing of Sachal, I should say, was one of my better decisions, seeing as it's given me so much dex over the course of the run. Like, I'm only adding 7 dex, and I've gotten 1 + 5, but yeah. It should be a good time. That curse there is going to be a bit unfortunate, just from the fact that it will cause me to gain more perception than I'd want over the course of this fight. I got stuck in that, which caused me to take multiple hits there, which it's unfortunate, but it's tolerable. I was trying to bait out his attack so I could get an easy parry, and I ended up having to rely on the auto parry for that first one. Thankfully on the second one I did not. I'm able to get through this phase pretty quickly. Onto the boss phase again. The auto parry on the shield making this very, very quick fight overall. Unfortunately, timed my dodge a bit too late there, and I don't believe I'll be able to. I did manage to actually push the boss's damage phase into the darkness phase again, so that should be good. As you see there, just kind of precautionarily doing a parry towards the end of his attack pattern. Unfortunate, I should have dodged to the side like that instead of allowing him to go directly into me. And that should be it. The fight. Altogether, not a great showing for that fight, because I messed up a couple of parries, got some bad hits in there, but overall, better than it could have been. I'm going to get rid of this corruption increase, just because, while it can be beneficial overall, it will, for me at least, result in a lot of excess damage. This will do literally nothing besides give me 6 dex, and I think the 200 gold is more worthwhile. This could be a solid option, just seeing as it has a lot of damage stacking. I'll keep it there, just to look at, I guess. Currently don't have a last slot, and I have a couple things I could swap out for the last slot, so I may as well take this for now. And I have no need to swap out my main weapon there. This is an interesting call, because it is technically a damage increase just because of how the daggers work, as well as it does synergize pretty well. But losing that 25% parry chance, as well as the fact that I'm not scaling any perception, means I'm going to give up on it and move forward. have enough gold that I can pretty easily afford this and then spend Curse on the coming one. I would prefer to have more stats if at all possible, but a weapon upgrade I think here is more worth it. Wow, I'm doing pretty good right now. Finished up a lot of random quizzes that I had, all that, and managed to be able to do a stream today. I wasn't able to do one on the most recent Friday because of some family and friend issues, but thankfully I'm here now. How are you doing now? As you see there, the faceless behemoth stunning its other little faceless behemoth, allowing me to get easy damage on it. The two elites in this room are ones that I don't personally prefer. That is a little trick you can do, as you saw there, which is enemies will indeed. This specific middle one is something that can't be passed through. That's unfortunate. With the timing that I got hit there, I got stuck between both of their hits. There we go. Ah, yeah, Lau, a person in chat, is from France, and he is just waking up now. And, I mean, it's crazy the time differences here, as seeing as this is my late night stream. And it's about 10 in the morning, or I believe it's more closer to midnight at this point, where I am. Which is just the East Coast, or sorry, West Coast, words. But yeah, altogether this room has been a bit unfortunate with the bad damage I've taken, but I should be able to wrap it up as soon as I deal with these sets of enemies. The champion blood priests are a bit of a nightmare, in my opinion, just because they summon additional elites and they'll keep summoning them until you deal with them. But it's manageable. I managed to do it, and then I just have to clean up the last of them. This is Dark Swiftness, a very helpful curse at times, and others it can be very harmful, because you see there I don't regenerate 1 stamina for doing a perfect dodge, which is making me have a lot less stamina than I'd want in these situations. But yeah. I'm going to move on and just get some free attributes, which should be a nice damage boost, no matter what I end up getting. Hopefully it's Constitution and Dexterity, though. One other unfortunate thing is when you're on the lookout for traps, having Dark Swiftness means that whenever you do a dodge, you will obscure the darkness, basically. Just get rid of the darkness effect or get rid of the light effect, I should say, on screen. Which means that if you're trying to dodge through spikes, and it's a long corridor of spikes, it can result in you taking some just random hits that you wouldn't otherwise take. I'm gonna turn that into HP, especially since I need it so badly now. But yeah, Lau, one of the things I've spotted in this run is having, or apparently it may either be a mix of reptilian hunger with or with a healing effect on your weapon, as well as a greed kills restore health, but they do not appear to stack, which is very unfortunate. So whenever I get a kill with this, I'm only healing 1% of HP rather than 2%. Which means that I can just decide to combo with my shield infinitely instead and get basically the same result. But yeah. It's good to spot this in a run where I have fairly competent damage as well as some decent healing already, so that I don't find it out later. Yeah. I'm thinking it may just be an issue with Reptilian Hunger, because for a while there I wasn't using Reptilian Hunger, and as far as I could tell it didn't have the same effect, so it may just be the fact that something with Reptilian Hunger's coding makes it not work. Yeah, it's only the 1% healing instead of 2%, which is just unfortunate. Fortunately, I couldn't get off my combos there, and I tried to go for a claw charged attack, which ended up with me not being able to get the kill and taking a hit. Trying to deal with the Jaguar champion was a bit unfortunate there, because the Blood Priest decided to start healing, which is how it normally acts, I should say. And I just couldn't keep up the damage to out-damage it. Yeah, long herbs like that, you have to do better than me and just kind of hope you make it through it. When you have Dark Swiftness, if you can predict where the spikes are, you can pretty safely stop, but because I'm not good at paying attention, I ended up taking a hit from them, which is very costly on very hard runs. Seeing as I believe that still maintains the double damage as well as some other effects as well. Just gonna spam the dodge button here. There we go. Yeah, try and make back some of this HP that I've lost. This room, thankfully, is really great for that because there's a lot of really easy to kill enemies in here. That room was very much just a blessing. I am going to take the minus 12 corruption because that relic isn't all that necessary. But yeah, having that much basically free HP by way of just enemies that don't have a very high chance of hurting me, and I kill them almost instantly, is just a nice little reward. I'm going to just try and get some extra free damage in there, so then when it does that, it'll be much lower health. I do take a hit of damage there from the fire. Probably should have avoided, but extra damage is extra damage. That's how I'm kind of treating it right now. Lots of blood urns here. I am going to take the extra corruption since I heal it so easily, giving me a pretty solid amount of health. Oh. What Lau just brought up is that the healing in my health bar may actually be correct. Yeah, actually, you're right. So it's the on-screen pop-up, and I believe the gold that does not keep up correctly. That's kind of interesting to see. So it's just a visual bug with that, but I guess maybe it doesn't work correctly with the gold as well, because you see there my gold is much more limited. Also, it may be causing some issue with my actual gold drop, seeing as I feel like these greed kills should be giving me a bit more gold than they are. Oh wait, I wouldn't be overhealing anyways right now. Never mind. My words do not make sense. Yeah, it may just very well be an overlapping of the two healing bars, as you say, Lau. That would make a lot of sense. This is, I believe, my last option for a relic, basically. Yeah. So I should roll through a couple of, or the last of my Divine Favors, just to see if I can get something. None of these are all that great besides the fact they provide Constitution. This could be okay, but I'm not going to heal very much. This is still entirely unnecessary at this point because I'm not going to be lifting a curse. But yeah. 2 more Divine Favors. Level +1 on main weapon plus that effect is insanely worthwhile to me. Plus the 9 Constitution, I should say. Because this should provide another massive damage buff, as well as a pretty solid amount of extra healing for me. As you can see there, 26 and 35. Creeping Gloom should be fine. Basically, when you take damage, you just release this wave of darkness, which puts out lights and a couple of other minor things with that, but it's overall pretty manageable. And then you just deal some bonus damage in light, which is just a positive effect. As you see there, my crit's going up to 188 with the Warmonger's Claws. Very nice effect to have. That was a lot of luck there that made it so I didn't get hit, because I did a pretty messy dodge, and then got locked out on his hit. not making contact with me, as well as the Jaguar statue's fireball just deciding to hit him instead of me. I'm going to try and stun lock this enemy so it does not spawn something, and I do manage to do it. Very nice. I think I am just instead going to heal up because, what would I swap out for that relic? Probably this at some point, just because it's not entirely necessary, but I don't think it's worthwhile as of now. Would it be more worthwhile than 3 decks? Probably not, seeing as I'm going to be pretty heavily spending gold in the coming rooms. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap up the last parts of this room. Unfortunately, that lightning proc there did cause the barrel to explode, but it will just finish off the enemy. And I am going to take the time to go after these extra ones for a bit more healing, as well as a bit more gold. I will be able to just out-damage it at this point, and yeah. I'm going to take that over my current main weapon. I will move on. That appears to have just been a gold room. Sorry about that. And so we're coming up on a weapon upgrade here. Probably my last major upgrade to the amount of damage I'm able to deal before the Tomahawk fight. Obviously, the Tomahawk fight being the end of the run. Was not paying enough attention there, so I ended up taking a hit from the Deadeye that I probably should have been able to avoid, but it should be fine. 2 champion Deadeyes and a champion Dead Wife, I believe. So should be an okay room to deal with, especially seeing as that Deadeye was not able to pivot around. And the Dead Wife should be wrapped up. There was a set of spikes there that I just kind of stood on. But yeah, I should do my best to avoid these little bits of extra damage I'm taking, especially before the Tomahawk fight, seeing as that'll be when I want the most of my HP. But yeah. It should just damage itself there, but I decided to do a roll just in case. By it, I mean the Deadeye that was across the room at the time. That is the room wiped up. I am going to offer Curse for this upgrade, seeing as it's a pretty solid amount of damage for claws. Managing to get my main weapon a +8, which is one of the highest I've had it. Or had any weapon at. Yeah. But this last room will be stats. No matter what, I'm going to get either Dexterity or Constitution. I definitely prefer Constitution at this point. But if I manage to get both, that would be great. But yeah, so no matter what, I'm going to be taking another curse by exiting this room, which will put me on my 4th curse. And that means it's pretty alright to just take... basically spend the 40 corruption for the stats. Because I will be able to afford it for gold now that I'm looking at it. So either way, it doesn't really matter all that much, because I did not end up taking the relic to turn gold amounts into extra damage, because it was only the 2% variation. This room is going to be a bit unfortunate because I want the extra gold, but I have to cross all of these spikes with Shadow Step, Dark Swiftness. But yeah. I am just taking way more damage than I ever wanted to. I just took 900 damage. Oh boy, that is not a good setup there. As you see, for this kind of room, Dark Swiftness is very much a killer. I end up getting Dexterity and Perception, which is not really what I want here. I'm just gonna offer gold to get it out. and move forward. The amount of health I'm at now basically means Tomahawk can almost kill me if I get stuck in one of his bad attacks. Just trying to escape the spikes at this point, but yeah. Well, I used to think just Dark Swiftness was purely a buff, but after this room I'm not quite thinking as much. Hoping that relic drop is able to be either just a solid beneficial effect or it can be turned into health, because I really need healing right now. (33% to healing effects or 12%. That bonus to healing effects won't really come into play because I have no heal on actual crits. So yeah, we're entering the Tomahawk fight with a lot less health than I probably should have, because I made a bit of misplays there. We'll be seeing our final, well, the last curse I get, which is Volatile Remains, which shouldn't affect this coming boss. Yeah. Just a quick one over of the run. It is bonuses to my main weapon, random curse, random extra heal, just sort of mid-game stuff. And then my main weapon is obviously what's going to carry me, the Warmonger's Claws, with healing, corruption reduction, and lightning damage, and then this Whispering Aegis. I'm just gonna take a quick water sip here, and then it should be good. Wow, who's in chat, is also a streamer, a much bigger streamer than me, and I mean, great person. If you're a French watcher, or just kind of want to see someone a lot better than me play this game, definitely go check him out. That hit there is unfortunate. I did not expect the explode, or the quick pivot to be hit, but I took it anyways. I managed to avoid the explosion attack he did there. That attack nearly one-shot me at this point, so I'd like to avoid it if possible. I did decide to, instead of going for damage, just commit to a double dodge because of the fact that I didn't want to risk any amount of excess damage here. But, or excess health loss, I should say. As you see, the Warmonger's Claws here, even just doing the basic attacks and not taking the guaranteed crit are outputting incredible amounts of damage. He's going to swap to a second phase, which just basically adds one more attack pattern as far as I can remember, which is that attack pattern. It just kind of runs off. I'm trying to make sure that I maintain enough stamina to deal with any of his attacks that he does, and especially with Dark Swiftness not giving me extra stamina, I have to be very careful compared to what I would like to be doing. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of thinking that I had just gotten out of the range when I was still just within it. That attack pattern there leaves him very open though, so if you're struggling with this boss, it's a good idea to learn his little tell for when he does that. Unfortunately, I have to do the safe trap there and just do a wide dodge on the fireballs. Fireballs are a good time to deal damage to him, but yeah, there we go. First try on the very hard for Jaguar Temple. Overall, I started with a cursed weapon from the starting room, and I managed to immediately get those Warmonger's Claws, so it ended up pretty well. Much better than I expected. But yeah, took a lot of bad damage, seeing as most of my damage is from the temple. That is not what you want to see, per se. The temple should be something you can pretty easily avoid, but unfortunately I did not. But yeah, highest total damage is a lot lower than I would have expected for a run with Warmonger's Claws because they can scale very effectively. I didn't really have much of a build at the end of the day besides just upgrading the main weapon, but it worked out. So either the Fire Claws or the Cursed Claws, and I do see Warmonger's Claws right there. Just gonna act like I don't. Are those the... yeah, Incandescent Claws. Yeah, Dark Swiftness and Spikes is now my least favorite thing to see. Right now, I am aiming to 100% this collection, so it doesn't really matter to me what I spend the Jade coins or the Jade rings on. But I do, now that I have enough to buy one of the boss weapons I unlocked, I'm gonna do so. Basically between Moonblade or Disemboweler Claws. I didn't really get to make much use of Moonblade Knight Sword, so I think I'm going to unlock it. Just to have a chance to pop up in the starting pool. As well as it'll allow me to find them more frequently in the temple, I believe. And then I believe I got actually 300. Yep. So this will give me my final upgrade on secondary weapons and gives me a chance at having them be cursed. And some of the cursed secondary weapons are very, very powerful. Another important part of that is it rerolled the on-pedestal items, and I did kind of... I had just done a run with the Warmonger's Claws, so I didn't want to repeat that just yet, if at all possible. This is a very good combination there. They both synergize fairly effectively. An okay start there. I mean, that just looks fun. Immediately getting a benefit out of the upgrade there. So I now do have access, since I beat Path of Cruelty, to... I don't mean to click that. To Blood and Jaguar. So I can either do... or Death and Jaguar, sorry. So I can either do that or the very hard attempt here. This very hard, just basically. It's a similar debuffs that it had to this, just elites attacking faster and the effectiveness of traps and all the such is improved, but the final exploration makes a bunch of interesting effects. I think I am going to stick with a very hard run on the Serpent Temple, just to mix things up a little bit here and stick with that main focus. But yeah. With the Dark Whip as my secondary weapon, I am going to want a mix of stats and weapon upgrades. And this path here I think is going to be a pretty solid bet. So yeah. Yeah, this run is either going to be pretty decent or it's going to end instantly, just solely the fact of double damage while in dark, or double damage while equipped means that it's going to be equipped most of the time since it's aligned with my secondary weapon, or my main weapon I should say. So I'm just gonna have to be precautious and not do that again. As you see there, I'm already doing about half the damage I was dealing with the final build I had last run. And it will just be able to carry me for the most part through the early game, because this kind of cursed weapon just has a very high power level. Compared to some others. Some other ones, as you saw in the previous run, will provide an okay thing to build off of, but won't be all that great early on. And, I mean, if I hadn't gotten the Warmonger's Claws, it would have been very good to have that. But thankfully I did end up getting the Warmonger's Claws, so I didn't need to worry about trying to scale with additional curses and so forth. 15% critical damage is a nice start. So you're going to see here that I'm going to majority just have my torch out when possible, just to avoid if I run into a trap or otherwise taking the double damage. Room up here, room to the side. I think I'm going to go to the room to the side, because generally Curse of the Dead Gods will have just an extra thing, and there it did. It even lets me go back for that. That's just a nice relic to be able to see start of the game, because if you just decide to spend more on corruption, you'll have all the more gold to spend. May as well temporarily take this. If if I manage to get a poison synergy going, it can work out really well for me. As you see there, that is what you're going to be wanting to do with this whip, is that spin attack. It's just an incredible amount of damage. I do manage to wipe up this room pretty quickly. I'm going to try and explode the things that I can just to get them out of my way while I collect stuff. But that is the one thing with the Serpent Temple that I need to get better at, is just being more wary of the little poison clouds, because they will deal a lot more damage over the course of a run than you'd expect. And they're pretty straightforward to avoid. I have not learned very effectively the radius to which, like, how this secondary attack actually, how far it moves me, and I expected it to move me a bit, and it did move me a bit, just not enough. 200% greed kill time limit is nice. It'll help me make sure I maintain my greed timer between, or in the midst of fights, so as to better make use of Reptilian Hunger, which is going to give me damage buffs based on the amount of greed that I have, as well as maintain my greed streak between rooms and fights. The relic that I just picked up is a decent option for me right now. It gives +4 to my single highest attribute. It's probably going to be replaced pretty quickly on, but it's currently going to give me just an 8% damage boost, which is just nice to have. Unfortunately for me, even if I do find a room that has a breakable wall, I will not be able to open it myself, because of the fact that I don't have a heavy weapon for my two-handed. That room pretty cleanly. Get my first chance to see any kind of relic here. 30% in darkness is nice. Greed kill removing 2 is honestly better at this point, I think. Darkness damage will scale very well, just thanks to the multiplier that I have, but being able to reduce greed kill massively over the course of the run, as well as since I have some maintenance for greed, makes me want to take it. One of the things you shouldn't do is just quickly take things, like, that is 70 corruption. I need to have greed kills on basically 35 to get rid of that 70 corruption that I just took. And so is it worth it to do that repeatedly? No, it's not, because unless I'm keeping that for a long time it won't be worth it, but because of the fact that I do indeed think I will be, it's fine by me. Divine Pact will just remove one of my relics, which I think will drop a relic here? Yes. Unfortunate. I'm already going to have to start giving up relics, and it's just going to be the poison. Okay, Lau, have a good time. I will see you when the next chance comes by. Just going to try and take a look at the room, basically. It's one of the things you kind of just got to do, is use what you have to your advantage and make sure you just take in as much information as possible. Not all too sure which combo is the interrupt attack combo for a whip. I've had a decent bit of usage with them, but I haven't been able to make enough use to see that for sure. I'm gonna go to the side room. It's probably additional drops once again. I'm gonna treat everything. That was almost very bad, but thankfully it was not. Give it up for the minor amount of corruption. This will give me some sustain throughout the run. What do I give up for it? I honestly think I start giving this up because this bonus is no longer going to my dexterity, it's going to my perception, and honestly I have no need for additional perception. Additional perception is always going to be nice if you don't have anything to take over it. Because, like, obviously I would get much more gold than I would have. By much more, I mean a moderate amount more if I had kept the additional perception. But it's also fine to take something you evaluated better over perception, just because perception is like the icing on the cake. It's not the actual cake itself. You need something for perception to work off of, and if you don't have that, then there's no point in the perception. So taking the extra health to make sure that I have some sustain throughout the course of this run should in the end be a better choice. This was just a gold room, yep, because I wanted to make sure I had enough to upgrade the Cursed Whip. I am now, because of that, able to just both one-shot the vermin there, as well as two-hit combo the skulking terrors. Let's figure it out, since it's about to die. Plaguebringers was what they were called. You see here, just gonna whip, and then it's dead. I am actually able to one-shot the Serpent ladies, which is a very nice thing to have, as well as two-shot the prophecies. That is a very, very big thing, especially for early game, because those can be a major threat to any kind of run. They speed up enemies, they have moderately erratic attack patterns, and being able to just avoid that entirely is insane. I'll also be able to get another damage buff here, which overall 7 and, yeah, 13, wait, no, 12, sorry, 12 damage buff. So I'm going to pay gold here while I can, because it's very expensive in terms of corruption to upgrade cursed weapons, but yeah. I'm going to for sure go for attributes here. I need to start increasing my health and just stats overall, and attributes are always going to be a nice thing to have. I don't believe I can get through that at all. Oh. I don't know if all whips do that, or if this one in specific, but that is quite nice to see. I'm going to double check over here just to see if there's anything. I'm very confused at what just happened. Maybe all weapons can just break down those doors, but yeah. I'm going to enter through the right side. That seems interesting. If you give the Plaguebringers enough time, they will just actually open themselves up before you do your first attack, so it's a good thing to just do. Is wait that extra little second, or just decide to attack another enemy instead beforehand. As you see there, my greed timer goes down very slowly, so I have the capability to step back and let the enemies do what they want to do while I take a better position. Fortunately, I overcommitted there and just kept hitting, which led to me obviously getting hit, losing a massive amount of HP, as well as losing my greed streak, which is going to limit my damage a bit. Being on that 30 streak was a massive damage increase, but I'm still not entirely sure which way leads to more enemies. I believe it's going to be the left way, but yeah. It appears to have been right. As you see there, I'm no longer able to two-shot the Prophetess, which is actually kind of killer, because they have much more ample opportunity to do what they just did. This stats up here is going to be very important. More gold find, once again, just nice to have throughout, but the extra health gives me both extra health as well as gives me additional healings whenever I pass through doors, which I desperately need right now. This is the boss fight. This is one of the bosses that I like the least. You'll see me switching a lot to the torch here, just because of the fact that I don't want to be taking the double damage against this boss. I'm just going to be playing as conservative and safe as possible here. just to avoid any chance of damage from her. Her attack patterns are fairly avoidable if you take them from a distance, but if you get in too close, you will just start taking a lot of bad hits. As well as you see, her only real interruption attack there is just to spawn a bunch of skulls on you, which you can pretty easily maintain or deal. I think that's ultimately what I needed to start doing with this boss, is just take it from a distance, take it slow. And it's not possible on all runs. Thankfully this run I have a very powerful whip, but yeah. Unfortunately I have no way to light her on fire, so I cannot attempt to get her drop, which is the one drop that I still have yet to get, but it is something to consider. The whip's knockback is actually very nice, because it's pushing her back and somewhat limiting her attack patterns. She has yet to do her teleport pattern, and I do manage to, I think, flawless that boss, which is one of the first times for me, because this boss I struggle with a lot. Yeah, I do manage to get rid of my one curse, which was Divine Pact, so I can now take another relic, and thankfully that happened because I have so many relics offered here. I am going to take the extra health here, I very desperately need it. 2 Constitution would be nice, but I have no shield and no plan for a shield, so it's not worth it. This is something to consider, if not solely for the fact that it's plus Constitution. The main effect shouldn't come in very frequently, but yeah. Plus damage on heavy weapons and 100% damage taken. Just turn into gold. I think I'm going to take this, especially with how much damage I'm probably going to take throughout the run. It'll just be a nice thing to have. Not going to be using heavy weapons, so I think the gold is a better choice. And I would have to swap through something actually useful for this, so I'll pass on it. I have a whole lot of gold, a whole lot of rerolls through Divine Favors, so I need to start making use of them when I can. I think this is going to be my optimal path here. It also gives me the option of this, but specifically this path, if I just skip the weapon, I should be able to get an upgrade here, as well as enough from this to get an upgrade. And worst comes to worst, I can spend Curse on it. And yeah, as you see there, I do get the Grace of the Tempest bonus, which means I did indeed manage to flawless that boss, which I'm very, very happy about. I do want to get on a course with some relics, so it is very tempting to just do this instead, because my current relics aren't all that great, and my weapons are manageable. If I could get a better main weapon, that would honestly be what I want at this point, but yeah. I'm immediately seeing an Elite Prophetess is unfortunate, because they're my least liked enemy. She did decide to try and buff her allies, and she has no allies currently. Yeah, a fairly clean kill on her. A bit risky with the play that I made, deciding to go for the extra hit over the chance that she could have done a quick attack pattern, but it worked out for me. Can anything actually end this room? There's something past it. So I could cross that bridge, or I could go back and look for loot. I think I am going to go back and look for loot. It will take a bit of extra time, but I do want to have as high a chance of clearing this very hard run as possible. It is just a basic room, which I believe this room pattern means there's extra drops over here? I'm not all too sure. No, it's just a starting room. Huh. I have not played enough Serpent Temple to be able to memorize it well yet, so I'm still learning. I'm gonna go for this one because it's behind the most barriers, so that makes me think it has the most extra stuff. Probably not a good way to think about it, but it's what I do. And it appears that going far left would have been the smarter decision, seeing as there was a bridge coming from that direction, but none going. As you see there, I wasted 2 stamina for nothing, because it gave me no effect, since the enemy was in a full shell. I'm going to, though not intentionally the first time, I'm going to keep proccing the spike traps there, because they're just going to provide a whole lot of free damage. It does even wipe up my last kill for me. There we go. I'm gonna get some Constitution Index here, very much worthwhile. Do I want to drop 40 curse on it now so that I can have the opportunity? I think I am going to take the curse here, just so that I can try and avoid taking it in either the coming room or the following upgrade. Without Sachal's Blessing giving me the 120 curse per level, I've been a lot less risky with curse, which may or may not have improved the quality of my runs, seeing as I'm actually beating very hard or doing well on them on my first attempts. That may be an important thing to note. Yeah, this curse doesn't matter all that much. It increases the gold on the ground, makes it disappear after a couple seconds. It's one of those things which you can make benefit from, but it also will just ultimately give you less gold in the end, except for arena rooms like this, because there's no actual gold drops. It's just gold generation. I believe I'll be able to 3-hit them. I was just out of range to do it, and yes I will. That is good to know. I don't know why I brought that out, but I did. Those appear to be either a 4-hit, well, yeah, 4-hit, or just a disjointed thing where I give at least one combo off, which is good to know. I did not notice the Elite Prophetess spawning in there, and I would have killed her immediately if I could have. But because I didn't, she decided to do a different attack pattern. And yeah, I forgot that elites attack very quickly in this because it is a very hard run, so I should have been more conscious of that fact. Her attack pattern is very, very rapid, and you have to be very aware of her when she's doing it. More so now that the very hard run is making her faster. Unfortunately, took a bit of damage in this room, but now I'm a bit more aware of that fact that it will try and kill me as quickly as I can. I'm seeing here that I should have probably just spent gold instead of corruption for that, but I am just going to upgrade this for a massive, massive damage increase. Because of how much that damage increase was, and the fact that I have Blinding Greed, I am going to decide it's hard, because if this is a gold room, I could also plausibly afford that. I do want to not have to spend the 90 curse on this, but Blinding Greed is something I could kind of ignore, so I think I'm going to take this route, even if I do end up having to spend the 90 corruption for... Is this just an outright weapon upgrade room? This may actually be, because I believe this pattern is either for that or just weapons. Which is going to make me have to spend even more corruption, but it'll be worthwhile. I should have gone for the Titan Skull first, because it will do that, and I hate that. I'm just going to get rid of the Serpent. I should have killed her long ago, but I didn't want him to do this pattern again. And he did. Die. See you coming again, and you will now leave this room. Very bad mistake there. I made some thought of the fact that there was one behind me, but I didn't put enough in to realize that it was going to send its attack out immediately on me. Any hits I take here are going to be very, very unfortunate, just because of the fact that I take so much extra damage from them. Oh, that follow-up attack was extremely, extremely quick. I'm going to have to be very, very conservative on how I treat this fight with just this one enemy, because Prophetesses and how quickly they attack right now, and how much stamina I consume, is not a good combo. They do significantly more damage in darkness, it appears, but yeah. Do I have a dark? I don't even have a darkness relic. That's interesting. Maybe it's just an effect of the curse weapon. But yeah, as you saw there, when I was in darkness, I was hitting upwards of 240. And yes, this is a weapon upgrade room, so I am going to take another massive damage bump for a very, very big curse bump. Now it's going to come to the point of how risky do I want to go with this run? So I'm getting another curse here. Visions of Madness is going to make me want to remove it immediately when I can, because it's very, very disjointing. But if I just keep upgrading this, it'll deal so much damage for so little effort. there's a Titan Skull over there, so I'm going to try and approach it, and I can indeed approach it, so I'm going to try and kill it. I'm now able to hit Titan Skulls thanks to that upgrade. Very, very nice to see. Unfortunately, didn't end up killing either of them. Just gonna finish them off with the throwing knives. I didn't actually aim for the last one there, so it gave me a bit of a scare when it was doing its attack, but auto-aim just literally aimed for me, which is one of the little things. Auto-aim is a very, very nice effect, but on PC it is very, very wonky. Because sometimes it'll be useful, sometimes it won't. I'm just stepping in poison here repeatedly, which if I had brought out my torch I would have seen there's so many poison clouds. Damage and darkness and dex, very, very nice. It's hard because that'll give me a fair bit of gold, but I think ultimately I'm just going to want this for more damage. I am somewhat worried about this coming boss because parrying it is one of the very powerful strategies against it, and I do not have the freedom to parry it. By that I mean, if I get hit while trying to parry, it is a massive, massive problem. Either way, when you're trying to parry, if you do end up getting hit, it is a problem, but specifically taking double damage as a result of it is not what you want, especially without any major healing capabilities, as in the situation of where I am now. And that is what you want to see. Okay. I'm gonna swap this out for it. Well, I think this is the point where I give up greed kill time limit. It does very, very much help, but yeah. I'm coming up to a weapon upgrade room, and I don't believe I'll be able to afford it, so I'm going to spend gold for this so I can just spend corruption for the following. This will give me what I needed for this run to get me to the boss, which is some kind of sustained. Sustain will be the key to almost anything. It won't usually when you final boss kills, but having sustain will almost always let you get there depending on how you build it. Didn't notice the prophetess spawning, but I am just fine anyways, thankfully. And that actually put out the fire, okay. Grateful for. Because it means I can one-shot these again. Obviously that on top of the damage buff I'm getting from Reptilian Hunger. That was a mix of luck and just bad maneuvering. I attempted to dodge after I had started my attack pattern, and it for some reason finished the attack pattern, thankfully, which killed the enemy before it hit me. But I had gotten scared of the fact that it was going to hit me, so I tried to dodge and dodged very badly. Yeah, I was nowhere near affording this, so I'm very glad I took the relic instead. Gonna offer blood for that. Massive, massive damage boost. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's going to start getting very, very risky having this much curse soon, because while I can clear up one in this coming boss fight, I will have a very small range compared to how I like having of getting to the 5th curse. Getting to the final curse is very, very bad. That will actually somewhat help. It can limit the corruption I take if I just speed through rooms, which I'll now be able to. As you see there, my damage breaking 380. Which is a very good showing to have. But the unfortunate side of that same curse is that if I take a long time on a room, it's just going to start adding and adding curse. Going to give up health, or give health for that instead. Or corruption, I should say. Thankfully, I am able to more easily control small bursts of corruption rather than large ones, so it is a nice benefit. Will just die on its own, but I don't think I want to risk it getting anywhere near me. I can just finish them both. Unfortunately, the poison cloud over here resulted in me just losing my greed streak and so forth, which is unfortunate. I am going to make sure I regen my stamina before going into this room, just to make sure I can deal with it easily. Got hit there because I overcommitted. It's one of the things you want to always avoid is overcommitting. And I overcommitted, which got me hit, made me lose my greed, made me get this kind of obnoxious effect, and overall put me in a worse position than I was in. Gonna offer gold for this just quickly. Gives me damage and health, which is what I want right now, and overall that's kind of just what I need at this point. We'll get to the champion. I think I'm actually gonna have to end up keeping Dark Fervor. I don't like keeping Dark Fervor for the most part, but because I have so much corruption control, it should be worth it, and I really want to get rid of Visions of Madness. I hate Visions of Madness enough to just get rid of it outright like that. As you see there, the damage is incredible. I do manage to get a parry off, which will let me do 515 in a single hit. It's quite incredible. That blender attack is going to be the death of me, probably. As such. I can't see how much health I have, and I believe I am one shot away from death. Yep, okay. And that's the reason why I said be worried about that boss. It did quite the hefty amount of damage because I got hit once by something I didn't avoid well, and it just ended me. Yeah, it is indeed a rip. Well, even though I did lose that, that was actually a really fun run. That was the first time I'd actually been able to work up a cursed weapon that high. Did I get enough crystal skulls for anything of interest? I mean, I could upgrade two-handed weapons, or I could save up for this, which I think I will do. Just gonna look over these really quick, just out of curiosity, but yeah. I do think I'm unfortunately gonna have to end this stream a bit earlier than I'd like. I got in a very solid Jaguar run, where I actually managed to beat very hard on my first try, and I got very close to beating Serpent on my first try. Thank you very much for anyone coming out, especially to you, Lau. I appreciate you talking in chat, and just in general, make sure you check out Lau. Check out any of the small streamers, they're almost always great people with great communities. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of your night, great rest of your day. However it is, I wish the best for you.